Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about how to farm a bunch of seasonal points extremely quickly. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to show off over here is, of course, as you can see, I have 427,000 seasonal points farmed up already out of 500,000. Now, don't worry, the cap is not 500,000. You just need to get up to 500,000 points in order to get another Kavaris Expedition preparation ticket, which can be used to exchange for a ton of goodies when the Kavaris region comes out later next month. So it's probably in your best interest to farm for these 500,000 seasonal points, since you're going to be using these points to buy out the event shop anyway. But before I talk about the event shop, I want to explain how I managed to get 427,000 seasonal points in 2 days. It's actually not that difficult. Where I went was Alnoth rank 1, where all the mobs are level 20. Now, you can go to Mount Magnus rank 1, Vanford Laboratories rank 1, or Rezel Forest rank 1, as the mobs are going to be much lower level. However, I personally prefer rank 1 Alnoth, even though the mobs are level 20. The reason for this is because in Retem Alnoth, all of the mobs have relatively low HP pools. It doesn't affect your efficiency that much, simply because you're still like 2 or 3 shotting all of the mobs anyway, so it really doesn't make that big of a difference depending on what region you want to run. Now, of course, if you prefer the Alio combat zones over the Retem combat zones, then by all means farm in the Alio versions, because there are benefits for farming in the Alio region. If you farm at the lower level Alio regions, you do get a chance of getting the purple triggers over here. So these are the B trigger Alio purples, which are still worth a lot because you can get the fairy dash motion item from running these purple triggers, so they still retain quite a bit of value. So if you want to make a little bit of extra money while farming for your seasonal points, you can definitely stick with the Alio regions. However, if you're like me and you don't really care about the fairy dash that much, then you can just stick with the Retem Alnoth. I do not recommend Makid lower levels simply because the mobs are very tanky. Even at rank 1 where all the mobs are level 25, it's just that HP pools are way too high at Makid lower levels, so I prefer Retem Alnoth. Now, another thing to keep in mind is while you're farming in these areas, you can get the event weapons with Fixas. So that is a win-win situation, since all of the mobs in these combat zones are going to be weak to the dark element. I do recommend using the Obscura weapons, which are the current event weapons, simply because they are the dark element, so you will be dealing additional damage. Now, also remember, as I said in yesterday's video, the level requirement for this weapon is only level 15. And if you do manage to get the arms refiners to get it to plus 50, you get a whopping 355 attack power at level 15, and that is crazy strong. So if you do want to grind in specific areas in order to level up, this is also a very powerful tool. Now, I do recommend picking up this weapon from the event shop, because if you do get a drop, for example, as you can see here, I got a Fixa attack 1 Obscura rod, you're actually able to transfer this Fixa onto your main weapon, and I'm going to show you that right now. So you're simply going to come to the item lab NPC. Now, you can do this in Retem City or in Central City, it doesn't matter, but what you're going to do is select add preset skills, and you're going to select your main weapon first, and then you're going to select the weapon with the Fixa. Now, keep in mind they need to have the exact same name. I cannot transfer these Fixa attack level 4 Obscura daggers onto my Obscura rod, simply because they are different weapon types and their names are different. So you do need to keep that in mind, alright? So as we can see here, we're going to select the rod, and right here, Fixa attack 1, I'm going to select that. Now, it will tell you what the Fixa attack 1 does over here. So as you can see, it's potency plus 2%, and down here, it will also tell you how many materials it's going to cost. So it's going to cost me 40 photon chunks as well as 40 monotite. Then I'm going to click on start a fix augment, and I'm guessing in the future we'll probably get some support items which will negate the material cost, but you can see here that I'm just going to click yes. And boom, Fixa attack 1 has been added. So now you can see my plus 50 Obscura rod with all of my augments now also has a Fixa on it, which is very nice. But now let us talk about why you should care about farming any of these seasonal points to begin with. And of course, it is because of this seasonal shop. As you can see here, there are a ton of beautiful capsules over here which you can pick up. So I do recommend picking up all of the capsules, because don't forget, in 2 weeks time, this event shop will refresh. that does not mean you can buy everything again. It simply means there will be new items added to the event shop. So I do recommend that you do have enough seasonal points in order to buy out everything, including the event weapons. Now, why on earth would I buy an Obscura spear or daggers or knuckles, for example, if I don't play any of the classes that use these weapons? Well, actually, since they lowered the price and only cost 3,000 for these weapons, you can actually buy these in order to use them as fodder for when you do get your new weapon. So for example, when you get your 6-star rarity weapon, you're going to need a lot of golden prim swords in order to get that weapon to plus 50. But if you buy all of these weapons from the event shop, they're already at plus 40, so they will actually give you a lot more EXP than your golden prim swords, because they're plus 40 and they are a 5-star rarity weapon. So it is in your best interest to buy out everything in the shop, including the weapon camos and all the materials. As you can see here, I've almost bought out everything. I've bought out all the stamps, all the tickets, all the capsules, all of the alpha reactors, so forth and so on. Now, another huge benefit in farming in rank 1 zones is actually the Meseta gain. As you're killing a bunch of enemies and you're clearing your trials, you actually earn quite a bit of Meseta every hour. I earn around 300,000 Meseta every hour, and that is not including me selling any of the items. This is just raw Meseta. And so 300,000 per hour is, you know, it's not crazy amounts of Meseta versus if you're farming like mastery capsules, for example, but it's still a decent amount of Meseta. So as a free-to-play player, I find this pretty reasonable. It's a decent amount of Meseta. It's not crazy, but it's still worth a little bit. And on top of all of that, as you're farming in the combat zones, there is the possibility of meeting the captain mob, which can drop the mastery 3 capsules, which are worth quite a lot of money. They're worth 330,000 right now, which is really nice, but personally I would recommend saving your mastery 3 capsules, because you can use these later down the line in order to upgrade them to mastery 4 and use them on your armors. I think that is more beneficial. However, if you do need money, I would still save them and wait until we get our new 6-star rarity armors and weapons, then sell the mastery capsules. Because the mastery prices right now are in free fall because people can farm these indefinitely. So, you know, the market's kind of volatile right now. I would wait until there's a huge surge of demand for these mastery capsules, which of course is going to be when we get our 6-star weapons and armors, because a lot of people are going to want to upgrade as well as augment their new shiny gear. And that is when you make your killing and make a lot of money. Future Care over here, I forgot to mention anything about the gear itself. As you can see here, I have 2,106 battle power, and this is actually using all of the event gear. So first of all, my Obscura rod, which I just showed you earlier, now has the Fixa attack 1. But as for the augments themselves, I'm actually using Dark Exploit 1. You get this by default if you buy it from the event shop. I get Technique 3. You also get this from the event shop. Nexal 2, also from the event shop. Gigas Technique 2, this one you can farm for or you can buy, it's really up to you, as well as the Tria capsules, which you get from the Geometric Labyrinth. So these are the capsules that I have decided to use, and this actually gives me 8.5% tech potency. As for the armors, I'm literally just using the armors that we get from the event shop, so you can see I have not changed any of the augments over here. However, if you want to go a step further and you do want a little bit more damage, or you're planning to use these armors as your main armor, I would recommend upgrading the stat, so from Technique 2 to Technique 3, and then as for Spirit, I would exchange this for a Giga Stat 2 capsule, simply because it gives a lot more stats. And that way you'll also get, I think, around 8.5% potency as well. So as you can see here, when I go to personal and I go to character information, you can see right now I don't have a lot of tech potency. I only have 27.7%. However, with those new changes, you will be at around 40%, I believe, which is actually quite a big difference. So that is definitely something that you can look into, simply because the more potency you have or the more damage you deal, the more enjoyable and the more easier your farming sessions are going to be. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!
What can I say except you're welcome?